But welcome to the fun.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming.
I know. So welcome everyone. If you are seeing and hearing us now at the Scotch Tracker, because I see that if you're looking at Dan, he's only a face. But don't worry, he'll appear very soon and we'll hear his lovely voice to, of course, offset all of our non-Scotch voices.
Right. Yeah, there you go.
Oh, and there he is, floating it up. And he went, see, I jinxed
we almost
it.
got him. Now we got him. We got him back. And we got my noisy.
So hopefully everyone is ready for a fun time today. We are not just joined by our normal fun panel of random crazy hosts of Star Trek. We actually have a guest today. So everyone, big round of applause for David Tomlinson.
Hello.
Welcome to the party.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Right.
Welcome. Welcome to the Scotch Tracker Live. Saurian brandy on the Scotch Tracker. Surely that can only mean one thing. Linus actor David Benjamin Tomlinson is here. Thanks very much for joining us. As well as playing the Saurian Linus in the second and third seasons of Star Trek Discovery, David also portrayed two different Klingons in the show's first season, one of the Kelpian villagers in the Short Tracks episode The Brightest Star and the season 2 Discovery episode The Sound of Thunder, as well as the Betelgeusian character Cosmo Traitt in the season 3 premiere That Hope Is You Part 1.
Which I've worn a lot of different faces.
Yeah.
Yes. So, man of 1,000 faces.
Yeah, regarding that, which makeup did you find most difficult to wear and which took the longest to apply?
Oh, all the makeups tend to be about a 2 hour, like hour and a half to 2 hours. I feel like the Klingon prosthetic was probably the most challenging, but I think part of that is because I was just wearing prosthetics for the first time and being in the process of it, and it's an extremely big prosthetic, so it was sort of like a trial by fire. So I have huge affection for the Klingon prosthetic, but also I was, being tested along the way. So I would say that Klingon was the most challenging.
Okay, cool. To the other co-hosts,
I have a question. Yeah. One thing that I've kind of been observing, when you have all that prosthetic, how does that impact your acting? Because because part of acting, you have that facial expression, and the person who played B'Elanna Torres in Voyager, when she half Klingon, she couldn't use the upper part to emphasize certain parts of her lines and stuff. So how did that the prosthetics impact being able to carry your lines, but you lost that ability to have those facial expressions?
I think it's part of an important part of the art of being a prosthetics actor, where your whole body has to sort of carry the vocabulary and the intention. So the adding a sigh or adding a slouch or a slump, or the hands, or with Linus, it's all about the head, the inquisitive sort of head turn. So because I can't really affect much movement with Linus, the upper part of my face. So he's all about the head tilt, his hands, how he's standing, and that's how I'm working to convey the emotion. I'm also helped very much by the post-production people who add his eye blinks in great moments, and so they give him a nice little life as well. They time those things pretty beautifully.
Okay, awesome.
I bet that helps, though, especially adding that effect so that you don't have to worry about being a puppeteer with acting as well. Because I'm guessing with a lot of your roles, seeing that you have, especially with Linus, such an expression face on there, that it would be kind of hard to move around and such, and then also having to control it with your face or your hands or so.
Yeah, I'm glad that I'm not having a manual do the blinks, because that would be one thing too many. I had some really great advice. The first time I tried on the Linus prosthetic, I walked into the prosthetics trailer, and it was sitting on the counter, and I just was like, oh, it's so beautiful. He's so beautiful. And I tried it on. And the first time you get a new prosthetic on, you're getting a sense of it and feeling the mask. And I went right to set for a camera test. And so the director was there and the crew were there, and they were taking a look at how he looked in against the walls of the bridge and the set and different lighting. And then the head of prosthetics for that season, James McKinnon, came up to me and he whispered in my ear, and this was one of the most beautiful pieces about wearing a prosthetic. He said, "Don't be afraid to drive the prosthetic."
Fantastic.
Like you wear the prosthetic. Don't let the prosthetic wear you. You know what I mean? And then it came to life. And so then I'm almost like my eyes are blinking, and I'm assuming that his eyes are blinking, and like it's all gonna work together. And that's one of my favorite things about the character, is that I get to inhabit him, but I'm wearing this beautiful work of art. And then there are digital artists who are going to augment him further, and the sound people who are going to take my voice and augment it to be the character voice. So he's sort of at the epicenter of all of these different artists. I love that. I love that's where he gets to exist.
Just
Go
ahead.
Our first view of the character was in trailers for the third season. And of course, we saw this kind of almost Orville trailer, which was very funny, because then we got the sense that we were going to see some more fun, and lighter moments in Discovery. So we have this moment on the trail in the turbo lift where you sneeze all over everyone. How many takes did that take? Because I'm sure that was not, I'm sure that took more than one.
Oh yeah, no, that was
Season 2.
a couple of hours. That was season 2, and it was a couple of hours.
I'm sorry, season 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was actually, we were shooting that. It was like 1 o'clock in the morning.
Ugh.
And they had been shooting all day, and I went in like around dinner time and got in the prosthetic, and we started shooting late that day. And so we did a lot of that in sort of like a couple of hours. And it was actually a really delightful shoot for a number of reasons. One, at one point, I sneezed my prosthetic teeth out of my mouth, and they hit the actor in the face and fell to the floor. And so it was like, there were all of these mishaps. And actually, if you see the season 2 gag reel, you can see that particular sneeze there. So it was a very fun shoot. And that was sort of the moment that I really understood what Linus, who he was, because there was so much levity and laughter. And I was like, oh, I get, the character kind of came in at that moment after I did all my sort of research and preparation. And I was like, then I started thinking and overthinking. And on the first rehearsal for the scene, when Sonequa asked, how's your throat? And I'd prepared a noise for Linus, because he's supposed to respond with that gesture. Yeah. So I had prepared a noise, and I made the noise, and everyone cracked up, and Sonequa just looked at me, and her eyes were like, ooga, and she was like, oh, it's going to be a long night with this one. And in that moment of that levity, sort of the character came in, and I sort of like felt this sort of I don't know, essence come in and be like, no, I know what this is. I've got this. And then that was kind of Linus. So it was a really memorable, very fun shoot, that scene.
It's almost like that Linus has become the comic relief to lighten up different errors. Because I know like the first season was kind of dark. So the second season, we saw that it lightened a lot more, which kind of brought more balance to everything, the light to the dark. Because sometimes, if you get a little too dark, then people are like, wait. So I want to say I enjoy Linus. He's actually one of my favorites. Yes. I just finished. Thank you very much. I just finished 3, and I was laughing the whole time. Every time he kept popping into something, and I went, see, that's why I would never want personal transporters, because how would you not get someone? You're in the bathroom, pop. Oh, wrong. This is not the mess hall. Oh, what are you doing in here? Oh, you two are together. I have secrets. So that's all I could think of.
I started hearing about that episode. It's episode 6, I think. A couple, many weeks before we were going to shoot it. And there are different departments who get the scripts before the actors do, because they have to start building the sets and scheduling and organizing. So I had sort of like different department heads coming up to me and saying, well, Linus has some great business coming up. And that's all anyone would say to me, because, you know, everyone's confidential. And so I was just like, what's in store? And when I read the script, I just was like, oh, this is amazing. This is very fun. And yeah, it was exciting to do.
But as an actor, does that get you worried? Like, oh crap, is my gig over with? You know, like we have something.
No, because it wasn't like, it was that everyone was like, it's really hilarious. So I knew it was good.
All right, good.
Yeah. It was even in the table read, at the read through, those moments really landed, and it was just like, okay, this is going to be super fun.
All right, cool.
So Linus, both Linus and a character you played in at the start of the third season, Cosmo Traitt, I noticed they were both species from Star Trek The Motion Picture. So before playing them, did you do a lot of personal research on their species, the Saurians and the Betelgeusians?
I looked at, I found that amazing picture of the Saurian in the motion picture. I guess it's like they're in the background. I believe the actor's name was Cedric DePorco, who played that first Saurian. And so I took a look at the Saurian, and I researched the brandy, and I was like, oh, they're great on away teams. They've got 4 hearts. Like I did all of that research, and then I started looking at reference footage of lizards. Linus has kind of when he stands, his feet are in sort of a way I was inspired by watching this one reference video. So I did a lot of like reptilian historical research for Linus. For Cosmo, I didn't take the same path with it. I really drew a lot of inspiration from the wardrobe and the mask and the face. There was so much information there for me. They gave me a big pot belly, and that affected my posture, and the language that was created for the character. That was a huge inspiration point, and sort of wove all those different elements together.
Cool. Do you know if Linus, Cosmo Traitt, or one of the Klingons you played in the second season were named after anyone in particular?
I don't believe so. I believe the Klingon who had a proper name in the first season was Orek, and I don't believe Cosmo is named after anybody.
Oh, right, okay. We've got some questions from Pip Slack on Facebook. She asked, did you get secret pleasure out of sneezing on Connolly in the script of Brother?
I got a lot of secret pleasure. I always get a secret pleasure when I'm performing Linus, because no one can see my eyes, right? So often in between takes, I get very quiet in between takes, and so I'll often just sit in my chair and fall asleep. But to everyone else, it looks like I'm awake because the eyes are open, and then people will come and talk, say you're good. They're going to need you in a couple of minutes, but I won't hear them. And then suddenly someone will come in and be like, David, and I'll be like, oh, right, sorry, what? So there's those little hijinks with Linus.
Right.
So
I never do it deliberately, though.
Right, okay. So the other question from Pip was, how do you feel about having become, during the third season, a meme? There was one that was circulating, at least on Facebook, that said, sorry, wrong group.
Oh, I hadn't seen that one.
I was like, what? I do for all the different characters that you play, do you find that you have to like Andrew Garrett, who was in Deep Space Nine, he said that he wrote a diary to keep up with his characters, to know how they feel. So how do you keep them all separately? I know, like, doing so much prosthetic work and not, saying you fall asleep and then you wake up and you forget that you're Cosmo and you're actually a Klingon, and because of course, it feels different, but if you wake up and you have to think about that moment, how do you keep in the moment?
Well, very luckily, I have never had to shoot 2 different characters on one day. And the characters tend to show up one at a time. So it's like, for Cosmo, there was no Linus because Linus was in the Linus showed up in the next episode first. So for Cosmo, I was able to shoot all of my Cosmo and be really into Cosmo, and then I got into Linus. So I'm able to just sort of compartmentalize and do, this is what I'm doing. And also, you know, your body's reminded because of what you're wearing.
Mm-hmm.
So I sort of keep track that way. It's like very one at a time. This is what we're doing right now. Present moment. Where are we? We're good.
But even then, has there been like a lot of like shooting scenes out of sequence?
Yeah, TV shows and movies are like episodes are shot out of sequence, and sometimes the actual like scenes in episodes are shot out of sequence, and sometimes actual episodes are shot out of sequence. But it's never been like I'm playing 3 characters in one day. That's never happened. That would be a horrendous day.
I guess it would help if you were in a bad mood that day to play the Klingon, you know.
Yes. Especially if I had to, you know, man. Speaking Klingon was like when I listen to like Mary Chieffo speak it, and it sounds like Shakespeare or Ken Mitchell, like how they delivered their Klingon. I was like, I want to get there. I don't know how they did it. They were pretty
Listen to some Klingon opera. I'm just kidding.
Yes!
There you go.
Or Shakespeare in the original Klingon.
In the original Klingon, exactly.
I have a question about the Klingon language. How difficult was that to like kind of learn and to like to emphasize certain parts and like, you know, be able to also follow that with acting? Like how was that process like to learn that the Klingon language and to learn to act with it?
It was a lot.
It was a lot.
It was a lot. Again, that was part of my trial by fire, right? So I'm learning the prosthetic. I'm learning a new language. I'm on a big set, on a big show. My geek heart is pitter pattering. It was a lot to manage and stay on top of. Right. I struggled a little bit with the Klingon. I found it really tough. I had a great dialect person in Toronto, Rhea Nolan, who was, she was a phenomenal resource, and she worked very closely with us through that time. But that sort of paved the way for having an easier time with Cosmo's language. Like it just was an experience. I hadn't done anything like that. So doing the Klingon helped make it easier for me when they sent me all the Cosmo lines, and I was like, oh, it's going to be another language. Yeah. You have to really find the emotion of the words, and you have to really work. For me, it's a lot of work to get that together.
So you said that you're a big geek. Then what are you a geek for? So it doesn't have to be Star Trek, whatever.
Oh, I am a geek. My geeking changes. I tend to right now I am really into slacklining. I started slacklining last summer as sort of an exercise to get outside and something to do, like, because we were all kind of housebound last year. I mean, still sort of are. So this was a way I tried it. I was having a park visit with a friend, and they had a slackline, and I fell in love with it. I was like, this is really hard and it's really great. And so I got a slackline, and just going to the park every day and slacklining for a couple of hours and just working on my balance. I'm like, this is amazing.
And for our audience, can you describe what slacklining is?
Sure. Slacklining is it's like where is my slackline? It's nowhere near. Okay, it's like a 2-inch band that you stretch between trees, and you walk along it. And then if you get really good, you can do tricks and bounce. That's not where I am. I'm still just walking back and forth.
Almost like a tightrope.
Yeah, like a tightrope. It started with rock climbers. What they would do when they were waiting, like for bad weather to pass, to keep climbing up, they would pass the time by walking up, creating these sort of like balance courses, and then it sort of caught on. So that's what I'm geeking out over right now. Is I can't wait for the spring to arrive and I can get back to the park and pick up on my slacklining.
There you go.
That must be very helpful, especially as an actor, so to keep you nice and like limber. Because I know, I noticed that you're quite tall, so that would be something. So it allows for you to do such different roles. I mean, especially, not just in Star Trek, but maybe in the future for, different movies and such. So on that same line, being someone who is comfortable in prosthetic, is that something that you would be interested in like the future? Like, I know like Doug Jones has done so much in different movies that people never knew he was in until, then all of a sudden they were like, oh, we do know this guy, even though we didn't know that it was this guy.
We
So,
knew
oh
the
my
guy.
gosh, we knew that guy.
You know, I prosthetics have always fascinated me as a kid. I was always so in, like, I grew up in the age of practical effects. So I was like really like watching the head casting and all of that stuff. I'm like, that must, and I never saw a path to it. And then it kind of happened really unexpectedly. And I'm learning something new, which I love. And I have really fallen in love with the work of it. I love the people I get to work with. The different prosthetic artists are amazing. I love embodying a work of art and bringing it to life. I think there's a huge discipline to it, which it kind of ticks my, I like to work hard box. You know what I mean? Like, I do feel like a lot of people romanticize prosthetic work. They're like, oh, it would be so cool. It's like, you know, all the neat things, blah, 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 blah. Yes, all of that is 110% true. The piece that people don't often consider is the fact that you're just going to be uncomfortable. The fact that your days are going to be extremely long. The fact that there's no respite. Like if you're over it halfway through the day, that doesn't matter. Do you know what I mean? So it's really been helpful as just kind of a meditative practice. Like you have to make friends with discomfort and get on the other side of it so you can find the freedom to do your job. It's not the same. It's totally prepared me for wearing a mask every day. I'll tell you that, because this wearing a mask, I don't even feel it. This is nothing. This is child's play.
I was going to say, you know, after what you go through, you know, we would feel guilty after a while, you know, complaining that, oh, I've been wearing a mask for 2 hours, you know, like after what you put through.
Yeah, like it's like on my face and I don't even feel it.
They're like, really?
Oh yeah, everyone who wears a prosthetic is like, mask, no problem. A piece of fabric on my face, got it.
Call the ambulance if you can't do it.
Right?
Call the ambulance.
The ambulance. But it's so I love the work of it, and I'm quite in love with it, and with the discipline of it, with the challenge of it. I said to Doug one day, I was when I played the Kelpian on the beach. In the second season, and I was walking across sand in those really challenging Kelpian boots and doing my thing, and I had to land on the spot and the sun, and I was just like I was getting frustrated because I was having trouble really settling in, and I said to Doug, I'm having a hard time transcending the challenges of this moment, and he said, that's the job. He said, that describes my whole career. And that also was an amazing piece of advice about prosthetics. I'm like, oh yeah, to work in prosthetics, you have to transcend all the limitations. You don't have your face the way you're used to. You're using your body. You have to use your body in a different way. You're physically uncomfortable. You're wearing weird shoes in sand. You know what I mean? And you have to get on the other side of it and do your job and find your bliss. So I love the journey I'm on, and I don't know where it's going to go, you know, especially now that everything, like, no one knows where everything is going. But if this opens the door to another 15 years of prosthetic work, I'm down. Do you know what I mean? Like I can see that it has a shelf life. I can see that the stress on the body, all of that stuff, the emotional stress of it, has a shelf life, but I'm fallen pretty in love with this art form, and I'm learning, which I love.
Awesome. And going off of those shoes, I hate wearing heels. How do you wear those shoes?
I know, that was the thought I was thinking too. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, the ladies who were like, we don't even like the heels. How do you? Please, I'm like, how do you wear those shoes? I am curious.
Much to my downstairs neighbor's chagrin, the first time I had to wear them, they sent a pair home with me after I'd had a rehearsal with Doug. And it was literally up the hallway, down the hallway, up the hallway, down the hallway for a couple of hours. Right? And then stooping to get under the door frame. It's practice. They're not as tricky as they're not as tricky as you think they might be.
Okay.
But they quickly become uncomfortable.
They quickly look uncomfortable.
Yeah, like I'm typically good in those boots for like, I'm good for like 10 minutes, and then everything starts to hurt, right? And then it's like, hey, ow. But again, that's part, that going into your day. So you've stretched out your legs, you've stretched out your stuff. So everything's as limber as it can be.
Is it like a high heel? Because I always try to look every time you see, because it looks like your tippy toe kind of thing. I know.
Right.
You're essentially
like that.
You're essentially the shoes like this, and you've got a little bit of support here, but you're having, if this is the foot, you're having to sort of walk and balance on the ball of your foot.
Yeah.
So you can't put your heel down because the thing will flip back. So you have you have this part just reminding you where your foot is, but it's all here. So it's balancing, and it's, but it looks amazing, and so
you win.
Yeah. Sometimes
your catwalk is down. Your catwalk is down.
It's getting there.
Got it.
It's getting there.
It's better than Maria's and I. So you win. We concede. We concede.
Okay.
We concede.
Thank you.
I cheat in my own boots.
My cat Q just wanted to say hi.
Ah,
yes.
Adorable.
Yes. He's named after my favorite Star Trek character of all time, Q.
Oh, well, I mean, that's an excellent.
Yeah.
So minus your own characters, what is your favorite Star Trek character? If you
of all time?
Of all time. Or
on
of right
Discovery?
Now.
Oh.
You know what? One on Discovery, and then of all time. So Discovery and then non-Discovery.
I mean, I love everybody on Discovery. That's the thing. But what I love, I'm going to cheat a little bit, and I'm going to give two people, because I find the relationship between Burnham and Saru, that brother-sister dynamic, so compelling and beautiful, and how it's gone up and down and been challenged along the way. And I feel like it's one of the really big heartbeats of the show, and they do such beautiful work in those scenes together. For me, that's the heart of Discovery, is this, it hasn't been easy, that relationship, and they play it beautifully. And so like that's I think, I mean, it's hard to pick a favorite, but that's the first thing that springs to mind. As for all time, I grew up watching TNG. That was my Trek. That's the one that I crossed paths with at a very important age. I love Jean-Luc Picard. I know it's like an easy answer, but like he's such an amazing leader, and that character was so fascinating. And it's Picard.
It's Picard.
I have a question. Yeah, go ahead. I have a question then. Like, since you were like a Star Trek fan before you got the parts on Discovery, like how was it as a Star Trek fan? Like, oh my gosh, like I was able to score a role like on a Star Trek show. Was that like a special like moment for you? Like,
oh yeah, and it's like I'm a sci-fi fan, right? Like I love all of it, and so it was Star Trek, it was sci-fi, it ticked all the boxes,
right?
And there were times where I would be on set in my Klingon makeup in those early days, and I would stop and I'd be like, I'm a freaking Klingon right now. And I would forget everything else, and I would just be like, this is bananas. This is bananas. Like there are 5 people in the entire world who are doing this job right now, and I'm one of them, and the other 4 are in this, like, boom, boom, boom. And then it'd be like, pull yourself together, bring it together. Okay. So it was to have a space on Star Trek was kind of like a homecoming, and it was still is like going to work. It's I love it.
Right.
It's
So you have
it's
the
not even
balance,
work anymore.
the professionalism. You have the balance, like the professionalism with the fanboyism. Like,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, the fanboy has to sit way back.
way back.
The fanboy goes way back. But like walking down those hallways of the Discovery set, like watching, you know, you're just like, you're there, and put me in front of a panel with buttons and screens and things to turn. That's I'm a good for like 6 hours, 7 hours of
like
button
kid
turn.
candy
It's
store.
yeah,
Button,
it's
button,
like
button.
yeah, I as a kid, because I was I want to touch everything kid, right? So I was
Right.
like, they're like, this is, you know, you'll be at the science station. I'm like, amazing, and then it's just like twirl, twirl, boop, boop, boop. You know, it's like bliss.
Oh, you get to be the kid in all of us, but in front of us. So
Right.
you push
Yes.
so we will vicariously push buttons through you. Keep pushing
Oh,
buttons.
thank you. I'll say this: it's as satisfying as you would think it would be.
Awesome.
Yeah, I bet.
Minus the malting.
Minus the malting.
Minus
I know,
the
but
malting.
now that that's over, he's gonna look so good.
It's like
All
it's
right.
its own chemical peel.
Yes. How about now?
How about now? So I just finished it, so I was laughing because I just remember I guess at the end Burnham was taking the little boy and was like, "Hey, come meet my friend Lilac. You can peel his peel." I'm like, ah! As a kid, I'd been like, "No,
Yeah.
no." I'm also a pretentious child, so it's fine.
Well, okay.
It seemed like there was quite a few people on Facebook asking like, what happened to Linus at like the end of the season? Because like regarding like all the, you know, the departure of Giorgio, where, you know, it's hinted that they might have a relationship and stuff like that. And that reference in the episode The Sanctuary, where he's saying he's shedding, being like one of, I think the last appearance of Linus, or certainly one of the last. So yeah, I think some people were like, what happened to him eventually?
He's still there.
Yeah, he's still there. He's just living his life off camera. I think you have this really tremendous ensemble cast, and as the plot kicks into high gear, it's really hard to cover everyone.
Yeah.
And you know, because there's so much going on, and the show is doing this amazing job of balancing character and story. And you know, as far as these seasons go, we start going towards the end, and there's a lot happening. So I think it just becomes about economy. But just know that Linus is always there doing his own thing, shedding or molting or, you know,
Sneezing.
Sneezing. He's better. I like to think that Linus is better. I like to think that he's figured out the transporter. He's, you know, he's got it together. I mean, I love, it's a weird thing to like, I know that everyone's not laughing at him. I certainly don't laugh at him. I think we all laugh with him, and
yes,
you know, like fundamentally, I feel like he's really good at his job. He's just horrendously awkward, but he's okay with it. You know what I mean?
He's like most of us.
I
think.
We can identify with him. Maybe
I think that's what it is.
Maybe the character will get his own short Trek story. That would be
wow. That would be amazing.
Fun. Because that'd be kind of exciting to visit, you know more about Saurians. Because we always, like in Trek, you always hear about Saurian brandy. Everybody wants it. And you always hear about different things, but you don't ever see them, you know, besides until I really sat and thought about it, I forgot in the motion picture that there was a Saurian in it. Because, I mean, when I look at the motion picture, I just remember everyone needed a dance belt.
Yes.
And awkwardly long shots of the Enterprise. It was like Enterprise porn. And we all went, oh. Yeah. So, but I hope that means that, you know what, since there's so much Trek that's going to be happening, that hopefully you'll get to descend into other shows as well and become more characters, since you're so prominent in prosthetic, and just also with your beautiful face as well. So there you go. But would that be something that you would be willing to do as well if they were like, hey, come do this on Picard? Hey, Section 31, you know, all these strange new worlds.
Absolutely. Like, again, this is an amazing, exciting process and journey that I'm on, and I'm really like, I'm down to see where we go next and what happens. And so, and I love that I'm learning and getting better and understanding more. it's like this very intense, it's just like this very intense trial of learning, but and discovery. But I'm loving it. So yeah, wherever it goes, you know, I'll keep doing it.
Enjoying the ride.
Enjoying the ride.
Yeah.
Well, we definitely want to thank you very much for joining us today, David. Where can fellow Trackies find you on social media?
Oh, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Dav Ben Tom. Dav Ben Tom. That's it. see, Linus and I share a lot in common. Yes, it's just the first 3 letters of my 3 names: DAVBENTOM. It's just, yeah, on Instagram and Twitter. You know what? I'm going to rehearse that, and next time someone asks me, I'll be better at it.
Wait. Cut, redo, and see. I'm ready. Ready for the close-up.
Right?
See, just like Linus, I'm here for the emotion.
Oh.
And the fun.
Yes.
This has been very fun. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for coming out. We
Thank
enjoyed
you
it.
so much.
Like,
Thank you so much for coming.
Company.
yes.
Cheers.
Stay safe and have a fantastic time. Hopefully it'll get warmer soon.
Yes. But in the meantime, enjoy the winter walks, I guess.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you all stay safe too, and take care of yourselves. And we will get through this together.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay. See you later.
Sure.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Oh, that was great.
That was cool.
Amazing as
That was
always.
awesome.
Yep.
I hope all our viewers out in YouTube land enjoyed that interview. That was absolutely fabulous. And I hope you guys didn't mind my cat making his appearance. Yes.
Well, you know what? Cats are a big part of Trek. I mean, ask Data.
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
just saying.
Yeah.
I mean, I have 2, but you just can't see them. They're not on the bridge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
was that
Instead, they're
really-
on the table.
Yeah.
I always think,
back to
well, was that
ISIS,
really a
remember?
cat though? Or
What's
yeah,
that?
ISIS as well. Well, with Data's cat Spot, I always think, was that actually a cat, or perhaps like Isis, because Isis, of course, changes into the humanoid female. I'm always like, was Spot actually maybe alien because he changes between genders?
I know that is true.
Yes. Yeah.
Started as it was a male cat, then all of a sudden it's a female cat, then kind of a male again. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm like, maybe in the future.
Kittens, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe in the future, cats adapted.
Yep, maybe. And like talking about cats, like what do we expect for Grudge? I
know. Oh, the big Maine Coon.
She's
a queen. She's a queen. So I know, finally, so everyone can know, I finished Discovery. I watched it.
Yay.
Thank you. So definitely, I would say it has been pretty much, I've enjoyed it almost as much as I still, because I love the Enterprise crew so much. I know that I miss them, but there's definitely been some bigger highlights that I enjoyed than previous ones as well. So one day I'll have to have a breakdown and all that fun stuff.
Right.
But right now I'm on a Discovery high of fun.
Oh, I enjoyed Discovery so much. Like always, like Voyager is near and dear to my heart. I mean, Next Generation, Voyager, it goes Voyager, Next Gen, like that. Like I can't pick. Oh, but Discovery is skyrocketing. To like it's going to be a 3-way tie. It's just that's just what it's going to be. Like.
I'm glad they're in the future. I'm glad they're in the future.
Character development.
Yeah, they belong. That's where they should.
They belong in the future. Yeah. So,
and maybe it was a conscious decision of the producers to see that, maybe we should remove it from, that sandwiching it where it's locked into that point of continuity, and put it somewhere where they can do anything. They can go anywhere, and they are.
So it's that's what I said. So it's exciting. And I just, Maria, what happened? You didn't uniform up. We have Discovery. We both are TOS over here, but different
uniform up.
I know. Classic TOS.
I know.
Kelvin TOS. Maria. Maria, you didn't get the memo.
I didn't get the memo.
Ah,
Next week, folks. Next week.
con. But hopefully everyone enjoyed. I did. I think it was a lot of fun.
It was so much fun.
Yeah, I agree that I really enjoyed Discovery, but also like sort of I agree with Danny that it's very slightly for season 2, but season 3 was brilliant nonetheless, I thought.
Yeah. So someone's gonna have to recommend where I can get a Discovery Enterprise uniform. I really want one. I'm like, I want it. I want it.
Yeah.
But I don't want to pay $1 million for it either.
Yeah. I would love to have a whole bunch of like, cool like cosplay outfits and stuff, but my caseworker budget doesn't quite allow for that. So, so it's like, it's great to like want to have it, but then you got to have the funds. So
I could start, if I was to start out now, I mean, I've been able to get these over the years here and there, and hope that they maintain themselves, as my waistline sometimes goes up. So that's when I say, oh, they must have shrunk. I pull the Captain Sheridan maneuver, like.
Right.
Bob, I was wondering, what's your dog called?
This one is Gidget.
Oh, cool.
And she's the alert one. She's always the one she's very bonded to me. She's the one who's always watching and listening. Where we have this guy, well, hold on.
Well, I was thinking about dogs on Star Trek and thinking about Porthos and
Porthos, yeah. And then we have like the little Ewok.
And number 1.
There you go.
Oh yeah.
And he's just the fun guy. He's just like, he'll try anything and he'll get into trouble and all kind of stuff. Not that she will also get into trouble, but he's usually the noisier one. So that's why
I know they were super quiet. I'm like,
they were. A round of applause for Bob Vossler's dogs. Yay!
That's because I put the lead on them and also had to bribe them a little bit.
Okay, there you go.
I was going to originally have the laptop upstairs, but then they would have barked downstairs and we would have heard them. So it was just easier to attend to them here.
So
but are there any questions? Are there any questions in the YouTube audience, or like, what are your guys' favorite season of Discovery?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Let's open up to the audience.
Yeah. Certainly feel free to post in the comment section for this YouTube video. We enjoyed this initial chat with the guest. It was our first guest on the live show. And thank you very much for watching. Please click the like and subscribe buttons on the YouTube video page. And see you next time.
Slash the like button.
Yes.
And see you next time on the Scotch Tracker. Check you later. Bye for now.
See ya.
This is the dance off music.
Dance off music.
Hands.